Human connection deepens most powerfully when attention becomes wholehearted and undivided. When one person offers presence without distraction, the other feels recognized beyond surface interaction. This kind of attention is not mechanical focus, but an inner stillness that allows intuition to guide action. In such moments, the mind stops planning outcomes and instead listens to subtle signals that arise naturally. The body responds to this quality of awareness because it mirrors a fundamental psychological need to be experienced without judgment. When presence leads, anxiety about performance fades, replaced by calm confidence. This creates a space where closeness feels safe rather than pressured. What matters here is not a sequence of actions, but the tone of awareness behind them. When attention is sincere, even the smallest gestures carry meaning, and the experience becomes memorable because it resonates at an emotional level rather than a technical one. As presence deepens, attention transforms into attunement, the ability to sense rhythm, comfort, and response without conscious effort. Attunement develops when one remains patient and receptive, allowing moments to unfold at their own pace. This patience builds anticipation, which often heightens intensity more effectively than haste. By staying grounded in the present, one learns when to slow down, when to pause, and when to continue, guided by subtle feedback rather than assumption. Such responsiveness communicates respect and builds trust, reinforcing a feeling of being understood. Over time, this shared awareness creates a quiet confidence between two people, where closeness no longer feels uncertain. Instead, it becomes a natural expression of connection. In this way, presence and attention replace technique entirely, turning intimacy into an experience shaped by mutual awareness, emotional safety, and a sense of shared meaning that lingers long after the moment has passed. Desire grows most naturally in an atmosphere of psychological safety, where the mind feels free from pressure and the body from vigilance. When a person senses that they are accepted rather than evaluated, their inner defenses soften. This safety is communicated through patience, calm tone, and a willingness to move at a shared pace rather than forcing momentum. Psychological comfort allows attention to shift away from self-monitoring and toward sensation and connection. In such a space, trust becomes the quiet foundation upon which intensity can build. The experience feels grounded instead of hurried, because nothing is demanded and nothing must be proven. Safety reassures the unconscious that it is permitted to respond authentically, without fear of misunderstanding or loss of control. What emerges then is not exaggerated excitement, but a steady deepening of engagement that feels genuine and sustaining. As safety strengthens, desire becomes more responsive and nuanced. Small signals gain importance, and sensitivity replaces assumption. When one notices and respects subtle changes in breath, posture, or mood, the other feels understood at a level beyond words. This understanding reinforces trust, creating a loop in which comfort and desire amplify each other. Psychological safety also allows anticipation to grow because the mind no longer rushes towards certainty. Instead, it remains open to unfolding experience. The result is a form of closeness that feels emotionally rich rather than merely stimulating. It lingers in memory because it was shaped by mutual awareness and respect. In this way, desire is not something taken or demanded. It is something invited, nurtured by an environment where both individuals feel secure enough to fully inhabit the moment. The body often responds less to deliberate action and more to the intention that animates it. Intention is the silent message beneath every gesture, revealing whether one is present or merely performing. When intention is calm and attentive, it communicates care without effort. The unconscious mind recognizes this immediately because it is tuned to authenticity rather than display. In moments of closeness, intention shapes how every movement is received, transforming simple contact into meaningful experience. When intention is rushed or distracted, even well-meant actions feel hollow. But when it is grounded and sincere, the experience gains depth without needing intensity. This is because intention aligns inner state with outward behavior, creating coherence that the other person senses instinctively. Such alignment allows connection to feel natural and unforced. Over time, this quality of intention builds confidence on both sides, not through repetition, but through consistency of presence. The experience becomes memorable because it reflects something real rather than rehearsed, and this authenticity invites the other to relax into the moment. As intention settles, awareness expands to include the subtle feedback that flows continuously between two people. This awareness is quiet and receptive, not analytical. It notices shifts in energy, pauses and responses without attempting to control them. In this state, the mind stops directing and begins accompanying, allowing rhythm to emerge organically. Anticipation grows when awareness lingers, because the mind remains engaged without rushing toward conclusion. This sustained attention deepens the experience, making it feel immersive rather than fleeting. Awareness also prevents disconnection, because it remains anchored in the present rather than drifting into expectation. When awareness guides interaction, confidence arises naturally, replacing self-consciousness with ease. The connection feels mutual and balanced, grounded in respect rather than urgency. Such moments leave a lasting impression because they engage both psyche and body in harmony. They are remembered not for what was done, but for how fully both individuals were present, sharing an experience shaped by intention, awareness, and quiet mutual understanding. Rhythm is one of the most underestimated forces in human connection because it operates beneath conscious thought. Every individual carries an inner tempo shaped by emotion, memory, and expectation. When two people move without regard for this rhythm, interaction feels awkward or strained, even if intentions are good. When rhythm is respected, however, the experience becomes fluid and reassuring. This begins with patience, the willingness to slow down and allow moments to unfold naturally. Patience communicates confidence because it shows there is no anxiety about outcomes. In such a state, anticipation quietly grows. The mind becomes engaged without feeling pushed, and the body responds with openness rather than resistance. Rhythm also creates predictability without boredom, a steady pattern that allows the nervous system to relax. When relaxation is present, sensitivity increases, making small variations more noticeable and more meaningful. This is how rhythm transforms simple closeness into a layered experience, one that feels thoughtful rather than impulsive. As rhythm settles, consistency becomes its companion. Consistency does not mean repetition without awareness. It means maintaining an emotional tone that feels reliable. When consistency is present, trust deepens almost automatically. The other person senses that they are not being rushed, tested, or surprised in unsettling ways. This reliability allows attention to move away from self-protection and toward shared experience. Within this space, intensity develops organically, not through force, but through continuity. Small changes in pace or pressure gain significance because they stand out against a stable background. This balance between steadiness and variation keeps the mind engaged and the body responsive. Over time, such rhythm leaves a lasting impression because it aligns with the psyche's need for both safety and stimulation. The moment feels grounded yet alive, familiar yet engaging. What remains afterward is not just memory, but a sense of being understood at a deep, almost instinctive level, where rhythm, patience, and consistency work together to create connection without excess or exaggeration. Sensitivity is the quiet skill of noticing without intruding, of responding without overt control. It begins with the understanding that every individual communicates continuously, often without words. Small shifts in posture, breath, or tone reveal comfort or hesitation, engagement or withdrawal. When these signals are observed with care, interaction becomes adaptive rather than rigid. Sensitivity requires humility, the acceptance that one does not lead alone but participates in a shared process. This attentiveness communicates respect because it shows that the other person's experience matters as much as one's own intention. When sensitivity is present, the atmosphere feels safe and responsive. There is no pressure to maintain a fixed approach, only a willingness to adjust in real time. This flexibility deepens trust, allowing the other to relax and respond more openly. Over time, such sensitivity creates a rhythm of mutual responsiveness, where each person feels seen rather than managed. The experience becomes engaging not through intensity, but through alignment. As sensitivity matures, it naturally strengthens emotional connection. Emotional connection grows when responses feel accurate rather than excessive. By staying attuned, one avoids overwhelming the moment or withdrawing prematurely. This balance reassures the unconscious, which values predictability paired with care. Emotional connection also depends on restraint, the ability to pause and remain present without filling every moment with action. In these pauses, anticipation develops and meaning accumulates. The interaction feels intentional rather than automatic. Sensitivity allows one to recognize when to continue and when to simply remain still, reinforcing a sense of shared awareness. This shared awareness is what transforms closeness into something memorable. It lingers because it was shaped by mutual attention and respect. In this way, sensitivity becomes more than a skill. It becomes an attitude toward connection itself, one that honors the complexity of human response and allows intimacy to unfold without exaggeration or force. Confidence in closeness does not arise from dominance or display, but from inner steadiness. It is the calm assurance that one does not need to rush, impress, or control the moment. When confidence is present, attention remains anchored rather than scattered by self-doubt. The mind is no longer divided between experience and self-evaluation. This unity allows actions to feel natural and fluid, because they emerge from awareness instead of anxiety. Confidence communicates itself subtly through relaxed posture, unforced pacing, and emotional availability. The other person senses this stability instinctively and responds with greater ease. In this way, confidence becomes contagious, easing tension and inviting mutual participation. It reassures without words, signaling that the moment is safe to inhabit fully. What matters here is not boldness, but consistency of presence. When confidence is grounded, it supports connection rather than overshadowing it, allowing intimacy to deepen quietly and authentically. As confidence settles in, self-conscious performance fades. Without the need to achieve a specific outcome, attention returns to the shared experience itself. This absence of performance pressure allows spontaneity to surface, guided by responsiveness rather than script. Confidence also permits patience, the willingness to let moments breathe instead of filling them with unnecessary action. In these pauses, anticipation grows naturally and meaning accumulates. The interaction feels genuine because it is not driven by fear of inadequacy. Over time, this quality of confidence leaves a strong impression, not because it overwhelms, but because it feels trustworthy. It honors both individuals as participants rather than roles to be played. Such confidence aligns inner intention with outward behavior, creating coherence that the unconscious readily recognizes. What remains afterward is a sense of ease and affirmation, the feeling that closeness unfolded without strain. In this way, confidence becomes less about asserting oneself and more about allowing connection to reveal itself fully, without exaggeration or force. Anticipation is a psychological force that shapes experience long before any conclusion is reached. It arises when the mind is invited to stay present without being hurried towards certainty. When moments are allowed to unfold gradually, attention sharpens and awareness deepens. Anticipation works because it engages imagination and sensation at the same time, creating a layered experience rather than a single peak. The psyche responds strongly to this state because it balances curiosity with safety. Nothing is withheld as a test, yet nothing is rushed as a demand. This balance keeps the mind alert and receptive. Anticipation also signals care because it shows respect for timing and readiness. By lingering slightly longer than expected, by allowing pauses to exist without discomfort, one communicates confidence and consideration. These pauses are not empty, they are filled with awareness. Over time, anticipation transforms closeness into something immersive, where each moment feels meaningful rather than transitional. As anticipation deepens, it strengthens emotional engagement. Emotional engagement grows when the experience feels intentional rather than automatic. By resisting the urge to accelerate, one allows sensation and emotion to align naturally. This alignment creates continuity, a sense that the experience is coherent rather than fragmented. Anticipation also reduces pressure because it removes the expectation of immediate resolution. The mind relaxes into the process and the body follows. In this relaxed state, subtle details become more vivid and connection feels richer without becoming overwhelming. Anticipation leaves a lasting impression because it extends the experience in memory as well as in time. What is remembered is not just what occurred, but the feeling of being held in attentive awareness. This is why anticipation often feels more powerful than fulfillment itself. It honors the psyche's desire for depth and meaning, allowing connection to resonate beyond the moment, grounded in patience, presence, and mutual respect rather than exaggeration or force. Mutual respect is the quiet structure that allows closeness to become meaningful rather than fleeting. It begins with recognizing the other person as a complete inner world, not as a role to be fulfilled or a response to be elicited. When respect guides interaction, attention naturally becomes more careful and more sincere. One listens not only for approval, but for comfort and readiness. This attitude softens the need to control outcomes and replaces it with a willingness to respond appropriately. Respect is communicated through patience, gentle pacing, and an absence of entitlement. It reassures the unconscious that boundaries are honored, not tested. In this atmosphere, the mind relaxes because it does not need to remain vigilant. What follows feels voluntary rather than extracted. Respect also deepens trust because it demonstrates consistency between intention and behavior. Over time, this consistency creates emotional safety, allowing connection to develop without tension. The experience feels grounded and authentic, shaped by care rather than urgency. As respect remains present, closeness transforms into shared meaning. Shared meaning arises when both individuals feel equally valued within the experience. There is no imbalance of power, no sense that one is giving while the other is taking. Instead, there is reciprocity, an exchange shaped by awareness and consideration. This balance allows fulfillment to feel complete rather than hollow. Respect also ensures that intensity does not overwhelm sensitivity. When attention remains attuned, one recognizes when to continue and when to pause, honoring the natural rhythm of engagement. This restraint does not diminish the experience, it enriches it. What lingers afterward is not just sensation, but affirmation. The memory carries a sense of dignity and connection because it was rooted in mutual acknowledgement. In this way, respect elevates closeness beyond momentary pleasure into something psychologically sustaining. It becomes an experience that strengthens confidence and trust, leaving both individuals with a quiet sense of having been understood and valued without exaggeration or excess. Meaningful closeness often reaches its deepest point when both individuals feel emotionally affirmed rather than merely stimulated. Emotional affirmation arises when actions convey understanding, acceptance, and genuine regard. This quality reassures the psyche that it is not being used or assessed, but met with sincerity. When affirmation is present, the mind relaxes its defenses and allows engagement to deepen naturally. There is less need for intensity because depth replaces excess. Affirmation is communicated through consistency, attentiveness, and an absence of contradiction between intention and behavior. The other person senses that what is offered is real and stable, not fleeting or performative. This stability anchors the experience, allowing it to feel coherent rather than fragmented. Over time, emotional affirmation builds confidence because it reinforces a sense of worth and belonging. The interaction feels grounded, as though it fits naturally into one's inner narrative rather than standing apart as an isolated moment. In this way, affirmation transforms closeness into something psychologically nourishing. As emotional affirmation continues, it shapes how the experience is remembered. Memory does not retain detail alone, it preserves feeling. When affirmation is present, what lingers is a sense of being valued and understood. This lingering effect is powerful because it strengthens trust beyond the moment itself. The experience does not end abruptly, it echoes internally, reinforcing positive association and emotional security. Affirmation also balances giving and receiving, ensuring that neither person feels diminished or overlooked. This balance creates reciprocity, where connection feels shared rather than one-sided. Such reciprocity deepens meaning because it aligns with the psyche's desire for mutual recognition. Over time, these experiences contribute to a stronger sense of relational confidence, where closeness is no longer approached with uncertainty. Instead, it is associated with respect, warmth, and affirmation. In this way, emotional affirmation becomes the quiet conclusion of meaningful intimacy, not marked by intensity, but by a lasting sense of connection that feels integrated, human, and complete. Trust is the foundation upon which meaningful connection rests, and it requires more than words to establish. It requires consistency, attentiveness, and respect. Trust develops when actions align with intention, creating a sense of reliability that the unconscious mind immediately recognizes. When one consistently responds to subtle signals with awareness and care, the other person senses that their boundaries and feelings are acknowledged. This acknowledgement reduces tension and allows engagement to deepen without the need for force or demonstration. Trust is reinforced by patience because it communicates that there is no rush to achieve outcomes and that the other's comfort is valued. Over time, the presence of trust transforms interaction from a series of isolated gestures into an integrated experience that feels safe, coherent, and emotionally resonant. The effect is cumulative. Each moment of consistency strengthens confidence in the connection, allowing closeness to grow naturally and authentically. As trust becomes established, it opens space for vulnerability, which in turn deepens intimacy. When both individuals feel secure, they can engage fully without fear of judgment or rejection. This security allows for subtle exploration, where attention to detail, pauses, and gentle variations are received openly rather than critically. Vulnerability is not a performance. It is a willingness to allow one's inner state to be present and recognized. The presence of trust assures that these gestures, whether small or significant, are met with acceptance. This acceptance encourages reciprocity, creating a dynamic in which both people feel equally invested in the shared experience. In this environment, anticipation, rhythm, and emotional attunement become meaningful, because they are experienced within a context of reliability. Trust magnifies the effect of these qualities, ensuring that closeness is not fleeting or superficial. It transforms engagement into a psychologically rich interaction, leaving a lasting sense of security, connection, and understanding that endures beyond the immediate moment. The culmination of meaningful closeness is the creation of a shared experience that feels fully reciprocal, where both individuals contribute and receive in balance. This equilibrium is not achieved through strategy or technique, but through ongoing awareness, respect, and emotional attunement. Each person senses the other's readiness, comfort, and receptivity, adjusting subtly in response. In this way, interaction becomes a conversation of presence rather than a sequence of actions. Reciprocity communicates value. It reassures the psyche that each participant is acknowledged and considered. When this balance is maintained, the experience feels safe, coherent, and mutually satisfying. The unconscious mind responds strongly to such harmony because it mirrors fundamental needs for recognition, respect, and connectedness. Over time, repeated experiences of balanced engagement build a foundation of trust and confidence, enhancing the sense that closeness is both possible and psychologically sustaining. Reciprocity is therefore less about exchange in a transactional sense and more about the alignment of awareness, intention, and emotional availability. As shared experience deepens, it allows for subtle dynamics to emerge, enriching the interaction without overwhelming either person. Small shifts in attention, rhythm, and response become meaningful because they are interpreted within a framework of mutual understanding. There is no need for exaggeration, intensity, or performance. The depth arises naturally from alignment and sensitivity. This balance permits pauses, anticipation, and gentle variation, which strengthen engagement and prolong the sense of connection. Each person experiences the other as attentive and responsive, fostering emotional resonance. Such shared moments leave a lasting impression not because of dramatic gestures, but because they fulfill an unconscious longing for understanding, acknowledgement, and participation. When both participants contribute to the evolving dynamic in a manner that is mindful and respectful, closeness transforms from mere proximity into an enduring psychological and emotional experience, grounded in reciprocity, awareness, and shared presence. The essence of deep connection lies in the balance between attention and presence, where one is fully engaged without being consumed by self-conscious thought. When attention is offered sincerely, it communicates recognition and care beyond words or gestures. Presence in this context is more than being physically near. It is a quality of the mind and body aligned toward the shared experience. The other person perceives this alignment instinctively, feeling understood and valued. This foundational dynamic creates psychological safety, allowing both individuals to relax into the moment without the need for performance or display. Over time, consistent attention and presence build trust and emotional resonance, making each interaction feel coherent and meaningful. The unconscious mind responds powerfully to this